Let's do this stuff. So we're going to talk about tax. Tax is my favorite. Now we are going to be talking about the UK, but the rest of the world kind of follows suit. So if you are from anywhere outside of the UK, pay attention because it works in a very similar way. So the way that you are taxed is solely based on the type of business structure you use. This is why I've left it till the end, because tracking money coming in and out doesn't really matter. That's the same regardless of the type of business. Tracking how much money, like how much profit you're making and money surplus in the business, it's the same regardless of the type of business. The thing that changes is how you are taxed. The way that you decide this, I am going to take you through a list. The way you decide this is based on the profit and the income you're going to make. Right? So this could be after you've already started, I know how much money I'm going to bring in, I know how much profit I'm going to make. Or it's a prediction. Like I'm certain I could get 20 clients in the first couple of months, whatever it needs to be. So based on the amount of money you're going to make, you want to think about the liability and the risk that is involved in your particular business. Okay, that's a very important thing because different company structures protect you in different ways. I want you to think about who's involved. Are you doing this on your own? Have you got business partners? Are you doing it with your other half? What does that look like? You need to pay attention to who is involved. Some people might be doing it as a collective. You need to think about how complicated and complex the business is. You need to think about the admin and the additional costs of that stuff, because if you need an accountant, that comes with a fee and so on. And I want you to think about the social part of this. Are you here to help people? Are you here just to make money? All of that kind of stuff. Let's talk about business structures. So the business structures that you have in the UK. Now, I'm only going to talk about the primary ones. There are loads of these things, but they all kind of offshoot from these ones. So if the one that you're thinking about isn't here, I have a solution for you too. The first one I'm going to talk about is a sole trader. So a sole trader, you are on your own. It is you. I am a sole individual running my own business. The government treat this the same as your employment income, right? So this is where you would start to pay what's called income tax. So you are an individual person, you are delivering a product or a service, and you are getting paid to do so. That is all it is. If we've got a paperwork scale, hang on, let me get this right around for you. So let's say I'm over here. If this end of the scale is not that much paperwork, there's always paperwork. That's the spoiler I've learned in business. There's always admin. If I'm at this end and it's little paperwork, all the way down to the wall, this end, and I've got all of the paperwork, where do you think sole trader sits along that spectrum? Do you think we're all the way at the left? We're all the way at the right? Caroline says a little bit. Look at this. I love having a wheelie chair because it means I get to do a sliding scale. Normally I have to run across the length of the room. So a sole trader, you're actually down at this end, right? You're the least amount of paperwork. They're not all the same. And this is the key here. So as a sole trader, you are using the least amount of paperwork to get all of this stuff over the line. What that looks like is every year, you will submit a tax return for the previous financial year. So the financial year that's running April to March, or April to April, you then do the tax return the next January. And you tell the government everything you made, everything you spent, what your profit is, and then they will help you work out the tax that you need to pay. It is super important. Oh, have I done the left and right the wrong way around? I apologize. Anyway, here we are. We'll carry on. So sole trader, super simple. It's just you. You carry on. You do one self-assessment at the end of the year. The second one you'll be very familiar with is a limited company. Love a limited company. It is the main one that most traditional business advisors will tell you to go for. Where do you think on the paperwork scale the limited company is? Do you think it's down at one end with the sole trader? Is it in the middle? Is it at the other end? The most paperwork? So yeah, it's actually kind of like not. It's only a little bit more. And now this is a common misconception. People think limited company is this big, amazing, impressive thing that's really difficult. It's actually only a tiny amount more paperwork. So the difference here is that it's not just you anymore. Even if you're the only person in the business, what you need to do is pull up another chair because the business has its own seat, right? And then when the money comes in, the money goes to the business pays tax, and it pays you. Or sorry, rather, the business will pay you, and then it will pay tax on what's left. And then you pay your own income tax over here. They love tax, they love it. So it actually changes things quite drastically because and again, with that paperwork, you register the company, you give it a name, it has its own company reference number, and there's all that sort of stuff. You have to tell who owns how much of it, what percentage of shares of it, and it's usually out of 100%. So if you're doing it with one person, most people do 50-50. So a limited company is actually quite in the middle. Now, The liability aspect here, you are more protected in a limited company against legal challenges. It used to be that you were protected from a financial part of it too. It is now not the case. And the reason for this, we had a bunch of creative individuals way back in the day who would go and borrow loads of money as a limited company, take all of the money out of the company would go bust, and then they could just walk away and it wasn't of impact to them. Meanwhile, they've got a new house and a new car. It's the banks kind of got smart to that. So now, if you're taking out a loan or anything like that, you have to be a personal guarantor of that money. So it doesn't really protect you in a financial way anymore, but it will protect you in a legal instance because the business would have the lawsuit, not you personally. So that's a limited company. Now, partnership's quite an interesting one. It works in a very unique way. Where do you think the partnership is on our scale? So I'm over here, I'm a limited company. I think this is the right for you guys, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Levi's happy now. So on the right, I've got sole trader. I've then got limited company is about here. Where do you think partnership is? Further to the left? Yeah, it's about here. It's quite a lot. Now, the structure of a partnership is between 2 and 4 people. You can't be a partnership on your own. That wouldn't make any sense. So it's between 2 and 4 people. And the idea of this is that it's a collective of sole traders. The partnership has its own seat again, much like a limited company. So the money will come to the partnership and then it gets split between the partners. So it'll pay all of its expenses, all its costs and whatever, and then it gets split. And then each partner has to do their own self-assessment on top of the partnership doing its own return. Now, here's the other bit, right? So that's why it's got a few more steps in it. A partnership is harder to get out of than a marriage in the UK. It's really, really difficult because you've got a few people all involved in the same thing. And when money's involved, people do weird things, as we know. Now, if we were in a partnership, so let's say that me and Sheila were in a partnership together, we were 50-50 partners. It's very good. We've got an amazing business, Sheila. It's going very well. I've then decided to go and borrow 50 grand from the bank. And then I'm going to Malaga for 3 weeks indefinitely. Who's the bank chasing for that money? Because it ain't just me in it, right? Sheila's as liable for my behavior as I am. And if I'm not available, the bank's chasing Sheila. So with a partnership, the reason the paperwork is so much more because you need more in it to protect yourself. More legal documents, more kind of like prenups, essentially. But they're really difficult to get rid of. We had a guy who came to a Rebel course once, he was a plumber, and he went into partnership with another guy. The other guy basically did none of the work, did none of the marketing, actually did none of the installations and stuff like that. But he still got 50% of the business. And there's nothing you can do about it because that's what the legal document says. Obviously, there's support for all this stuff. Partnerships are quite a bit of a challenge if they go wrong. A lot of the time, if couples are setting up businesses, they will go in as a partnership, and that's cool. And that can work. But figure out what the best one is for you. Get professional advice. The next one I'm going to cover, community interest company, or also known as a social enterprise. Now, social enterprise is an older piece of language, which used to describe a business doing good. Now, back in the day when it first came around, banks were giving out special pots of money for social enterprises, and that was all lovely and it's great. But suddenly all of these normal companies were just putting on a social enterprise badge and taking some of the money out. So the banks started to worry about this. Central government spotted this as well. So they created the CIC, the Community Interest Company. Now it's halfway between a limited company and a charity. I'm going to talk about charity in a moment. Before I do that, where on our paperwork scale? So we've got down at this end, self-employed. We've got limited company here, partnerships here. Yeah, Kesha, you're exactly right. CIC is right down that end. I'm not going to slap into my wall again because my landlord won't be happy with me. CIC is all the way down that way. There's loads of bits of paperwork in this because the way in which you need to report on a CIC, it pays the same tax as a limited company. So the business has its own seat, it pays tax, it then pays you by salary. You can take dividends out of it, but we won't talk about that. A lot of people won't really care if you do. Sorry, won't like it if you do. Now, the rule is when you set up the CIC, you have to tell the Commission and HMRC what the CIC exists for. It's a social business, it's here to help people or something. What is it that you're trying to do? Is it the environment? Is it disadvantaged people? Is it disabled people? Is it single parents? Like, what's the cause that your CIC exists for? And then every year you have to prove that 40% of your tax or of your profits or more were spent delivering on that thing. Now, that's really good if you've got loads of people involved and you've got loads of bureaucracy and you're happy with loads of paperwork and you're happy writing all these reports. It's a shed load of work. You need legal support to set up the articles and make sure that the company's all set up properly and all that kind of stuff. You need it signed off. My advice, you do not need a piece of paper so that you can help someone. You can make money as a sole trader and go and do good. You can make a bunch of money here and go and support a community over there. No one can stop you. Why do you need a piece of paper saying that you will give 40% of your profit away? That locks you into a box, and that can be risky. Later down the line, it can be really helpful. You can access different pots of cash with the CIC. Like I said, it's near a charity, it's getting down that way, it exists for social purpose. You can access different pots of funding. Some councils might give you business rate discounts because you're a social enterprise. But the thing is, it locks you into having to do something. Let's say you have a really, really bad year, and then the next year you have a really, really profitable year. You need to spend a whole bunch of that profit doing the thing you said you were going to do, which you're probably doing anyway, which then means you need to you can't recover that loss essentially. It makes it harder. There's obviously clever ways you can do accounting, but my advice, it's very complicated. Get professional advice when you think you're nearly there. That will make sense. The final one, charity. Paperwork scale, where do you think we are? Yes, on my paperwork scale, it's in Chile. It's miles that way. It is so far in. There's so much bureaucracy involved. There's a lot going on with the charity. You need a board. You need a collective of people to help you make decisions. You need to, again, in a similar way, tell the Charities Commission what of the 13 things you're existing for, and you need to prove that your spend goes to that. You can't make a profit in it, as in like you can't own it and take money out of the business. You can pay yourself a salary, but the thing kind of has to always exist to do that sort of thing. And it's fine and it's great when you've got the support to do it, but it's a very expensive business model. I would not start there. A lot of people think they want to start a charity when they want to do good. That's not the only way of helping. I think it's an option, but I would park it until you're ready for that because it's a full-time job. Even if you're doing it as a side hustle, it's going to be a full-time job. It's a nightmare. So those are the top line ones. There are more. There are tons more, and there's loads of different tiny fingerprint things about all of them. How easy is it to move between them? Great question. It's easier to move down that list than it is to go back up it. So it's really easy to start as a sole trader and then upgrade to a limited company when it makes sense. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And then you couldn't probably change to a partnership. You'd probably do it the other way. So you go limited company, partnership, sole trader, whatever. But going backwards, if you want to close the limited company and then go back to being self-employed, it's a bit more of a mess around. It's a bit harder. So just bear that in mind. It's not impossible. You can do it, but it is harder. So from a tax point of view, now this is the first one on our list of 6 that I'm going to put back on the screen here. Based on the profit and income, the amount of money you're going to make, there is a point where it makes taxable sense to become a limited company over a sole trader. And that number's around 40 grand. If you're bringing in 40 grand in profit and it's your only income, by the way, it makes taxable sense to start thinking about being a limited company if you know you're going to keep making that amount of money. That's a really quick version of that answer. There's a much more detailed one that we'll probably get to. So, your personal tax and your business tax, they impact each other. I want you to consider your entire scenario, because some of you will have employment, some of you will have income from other things. Some of you will be claiming pension, some of you will be full-time employed, some of you will be part-time employed. Whatever it is, your situation helps to decide what it's going to be. So I want you to consider these things. Is this your only income? If you have no other income and you're going self-employed, it's a really simple thing. Start as self-employed and grow from there. If you're already full-time employed and you're hitting your tax threshold, which I'll talk about in a moment, it might make sense to be a limited company first, because then you'll save yourself some tax. I want you to think about what your goal is here as well. And I don't just mean financially. I also mean this kind of emotionally. I mean this purposely. What is it that you actually want to do with this business? What do you want it to look like in 2 years' time? Do you want it to be this massive organization that has loads of paperwork and loads of people in it? Do you just want it to be you so you can have fun? Like, really get vivid with, where do you want this thing to go? Because the business structure you choose might make that different. Your mission, and I'm going to tell you what's coming up as well, so bear with me if you can. I know I'm running over, but I'm in charge today. Your homework, I want you to sketch out your money system if you haven't already. I want you to write down what you think it's going to be. Where's the money coming from? How am I taking money? Where does that need to flow? How am I going to pay attention to it? How am I going to run my finance meetings? I want you to book in, put it in the calendar as soon as you can, as soon as you hang up from this call, first thing tomorrow. When am I going to do my finance meetings? Are they every month? Are they every week? Are they every day? Probably not every day. Dealer's choice. I want you to decide your best guess at which business structure you're going to go with. I want you to run the mini experiment. Give it a go. Just get started. That is your homework. Make sense? All happy? Mega. Look at that. Check you guys out. 10 o'clock on a Monday and you're still here. I love it. This is now Rebel After Dark. I can swear again. So what's next? So we've got a whole bunch of stuff for you here to support you with all of this. We've got the Rebel Business Support Group. We've got our Rebel Plus with a bunch of links and resources and notes. And we're also going live every single Monday to continue. You've got next week, which I'm going to talk to you about in a moment. I have mentioned a few times to you the Rebel Finance School. The Rebel Finance School is our personal finance course. We're going to be running that around May, I believe. I've put a QR code on the screen for you. Please go and register. The Finance School is absolutely amazing. It will transform your beliefs about money in a good way. It will mean you're more confident with it. It will mean you're more happy with it. It will impact your business greatly, I promise. And if you needed it, these are Katie's spreadsheet courses once again. They are very good. Katie is the reason I like spreadsheets. And that's a very bold statement. Katie's fantastic. These courses are very good. Next week, you have the pleasure of Yusuf Kissy will be running AI for Business. So next week is all about how can we get you more work done, how we can get you more productive, how can we get you outside of your own head using technology. I've mentioned AI a few times today, and there's some really hyper-specific examples. What Yusuf's going to talk to you about next week is, how do we behave with AI? How do we talk to it? How do we use it properly? What is available? What can I do? Because if you're like me, I was a bit like a deer in headlights when AI first started coming around. People were like, oh, I just use ChatGPT. I was like, I don't even know who that is. What are you on about? It took me ages to get into this. Yusuf is one of the smartest people I know, and he's going to be teaching you AI. I'm so excited for you. I'm going to be on the session next week. It's going to be incredible.